Welcome back to Legal Candy, where we cut through the legalese and serve up the legal issues in little bite-sized pieces. I am attorney Candace Ross Colucci with the Colucci Law Group, and here I am with my co-host, Miss MK Legal Content, also paralegal in the Colucci Law Group, here to just give some more amazing information on legal issues.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Good to be back.
Yes. So today we are Today we are delving, right?
We're dabbling and delving.
We are doing both, yes.
So we're deviling.
Today we are diving into today we are diving into a legal issue that is on everyone's ears. Whether you're scrolling your pages or you're on your For You page on TikTok, what an interesting issue this TikTok ban has been to people.
I feel like we should be taking off our black.
Oh, yes.
Or something from the period of mourning, the brief period of
the TikTok ban, what it means and what had really unraveled there legally in order to have so many videos being shown on the internet of people crying, thinking that their source of income, all of that amazing money they made so fast overnight from posting videos, may potentially be gone, and wondering what are they going to do next. So before we delve into it, let me talk about the legal issues, which means anything in today's podcast, whatever way you're getting in a radio show, none of it creates an attorney-client privilege. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out to us directly. If we can't help you, we will let you know someone who can. Our law firm's number, 727-733-9438. So let's talk about TikTok. So if you don't know what TikTok is a social media platform owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance, popular for their short form videos, including dance challenges, comedy skits, and educational content. Over 1 billion users worldwide with a significant presence in United States. So the issues and concerns that took place on TikTok. Here's what people are not recognizing about this TikTok ban, is that this really started, where this whole thing started was in 2020, Trump issued an executive order banning TikTok and all of the transactions that they had in the United States based on the fact that they believed that there was a national security threat to the information that was being gathered and the fact that it was being owned by China.
Yeah.
They were saying that China. They were saying that the allegations were that TikTok is collecting all this sensitive user data and sharing it with the Chinese government because owned by a Chinese company, and that there was concerns over surveillance and data breaches and influences on public opinion. That was another huge issue. You get a company that's from another country that comes here that becomes massively influential. When it becomes successful, it also now correlates when we have a social media world and the ability to use algorithms to influence the results of things like elections. It's a way to literally tailor into kind of a extension of whatever speech the owner of that company potentially wants to say. Which we know very well because that is what all the other social media platforms were potentially doing, have gotten in trouble for doing, like Facebook and Instagram and all of those other things. So you get the 2020 ban. You get that first ban, if you remember when people started freaking out there in 2020. Then Biden's administration gets there. The ban never actually goes into place. There becomes a lot of issues with it to where it becomes questionable and there's a lot of legal stuff that takes place. And then by the time Biden gets in office, which was not too far along after that, that Biden rescinds Trump's outright ban, and then orders a comprehensive review of the foreign-owned app. So he really does say, listen, we need to review what's really going on here in order to see if there really is a security breach to it. And so there's a lot of legal things that takes place. And at the end of the day, what has happened recently is that there was an order that they had to now sell the company to an majority-owned American company by a certain deadline. So they were given that deadline, and then, of course, TikTok files a massive lawsuit afterwards. And what they're arguing is that they believe that it will violate the Fifth Amendment by fair process, that it violates free speech, that there should be able to say all these things, and really that it's unconstitutional that you should force the sale of a company to an American company, all this other stuff. So they had until a deadline to sell while they had appealed it. It goes all the way to the highest court, and they're waiting for the court to potentially make a final ruling. And then they ran out of time. So the ruling by the courts was that it had to be an approved sale. So you weren't going to be able to like have a straw man kind of, or a dummy person that looks like they're, an American-owned company, and then really let Chinese run it. So they were going to be able to see all of the actual implications and who it was being sold to and all that stuff, and it had to be approved by America. Let me start by telling you that to me, from a legal perspective, is crazy. It is crazy to think that a Supreme Court came back and said, you are being ordered as a foreign company to sell this company to an American company. Like, to me, that thought concept is scary. And that's what I always look at things. When we talk about what happened during COVID, my job as an attorney to look at it from a legal perspective is to go, we have to be so careful when our government becomes so powerful to issue orders and make us do things that are potentially in violation of our constitutional rights. There has to be a line there. And that's
they
scary.
Take them away, you're not getting them back.
That becomes the new line. Yep. That becomes the new line. To think that we lived during a time when the government could tell you where you could literally,
if you could go outside
yes,
in the sun.
Exactly. To go to a beach. Like, you guys got to understand that got really scary and crazy very fast, because we do not want our government to have unfiltered power, because it can be abused. And that's really where the fear is.
Did I ever tell you real quick during that? Bronte was only 15 then.
Your daughter? Yeah. Okay.
And I was so afraid that she was not going to have vitamin D. So I bought from Amazon an above ground pool. And had it put in the backyard of my rental. And it was like $1,000, like the whole thing. Yeah. I was completely afraid. I've got it coming through the window. Like, you can imagine, some of my friends who are neighbors are like, you're completely crazy. But I'm like, my daughter has to have vitamin D.
Absolutely.
And then she went in 4 times.
Businesses were ordered to not be able to open. If anyone ever does an analysis to figure out how many businesses were closed during COVID that never reopened, I mean, you put your life savings into these businesses. And so there was some orders that were very disturbing. And this, to me, runs in that same area to go, I'm not convinced that this is about national security or influencing. I'm convinced that America wants to be the one to control it all. That's really what it is to me. And you think about it, is that TikTok is just like anyone else who starts a company. They invest it, they take the risk and all of those things. And your consequence of becoming very successful is the fact that another country can say to you, good job. This was very well done. By the way, in order for you to continue having it be used in our country, we're going to need some ownership for it. Because we want to be able to control the information, because of what exact reason. So that was, to me, one of the things that were disturbing in my perspective of like, that is scary when our government is saying you are being forced to sell it to somebody else. At what? At what price? You're telling me what? If the market isn't good right now and I'm being forced to sell it at a loss or whatever the situation is, or if you're giving me a deadline to sell it, I'm not getting the best sell. Guess what? If you tell me that I have to sell it to an American, that changes the price of it. Because now you're saying it has to be sold. So now the negotiation completely changes. There's so many different areas of it that, to me, were like, okay, I'm a little disturbed by the information. The fact that people were like, China's getting our information. Everybody's getting our information. It's everywhere. You're not going to hide it. You're not going to save it. Like, you don't be afraid about putting your phone number in something. They have got access. Everybody has access to everything at this point in time because of the world that we're living in. But what I really think is that America wants to be able to control the information in a way, but I also felt like that was a huge issue, was financially, is if it's an American-owned company, guess who's getting all of those taxes? America is.
And guess who the rumors are that who bought the company in America? Meta, owned by Zuckerberg. It's in Newsweek.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who.
That was Monday. Like, as soon as that all transpired, rumors were out. Did Musk buy it? Did Zuckerberg buy it? But it's standing that Meta did, but that's exactly what you just said.
Yeah,
well, and that sounds like a monopoly. Like, that's scary. I just don't see.
If your issue was that you wanted to control the national security part of it, then put ramifications and parameters and requirements on it that way. But to say it needs to be sold to an American company, I don't understand how that in of itself is going to alleviate what you said your concerns were, unless your concerns really were more financially and controlling in nature.
And this is why I like what Trump did and what Trump said, because it seems so simpler. And he says, why, when they say, why did you change your mind about TikTok? And you know how Trump is notoriously, guarded about China, etc. And he says, and remember, TikTok is largely about kids, young kids. If China is going to get information about young kids, I don't know. To be honest with you, I think we have bigger problems than that, quote unquote. That's it. And I think that Trump was like, I want this election. I want everything to be posted. I think he wanted media transparency. I think that this brings up his son Barron as well as what is he, 19 now, 18, college age, and the influences he's had in the election. I think that Barron told him that that TikTok is important. I think he had some sway on that, but I don't think Trump is looking at those. He has 75 days, I think he put on it.
I think that it's a lot more about money, because one of the poster announcement that Trump made was that we're waiting for a resolution that involves in potentially the American government having part ownership. Then I'm like, it even was crazier to me. I'm like, so now you're saying that it has to be an American company, but now we're saying the government's going to own part of it. I'm just like, so then what? Is the government responsible for the algorithms that are literally going to start targeting certain people? It just, to me, the whole entire thing I think it's a lot more focused on political advantages, financial motives, than it really is about our fear that China's getting information from these apps. I think they don't want China to have that much power, because right now, if you are in control of a social media site that uses algorithms to potentially filter the information that's being given to people like the youth, you have a lot of control. Not even say that. I don't even know. I would not say TikTok is more towards the youth. I would say there is a lot of people that are on TikTok, a lot more than just our youth, and that are being manipulated.
The Singaporean executive that owned TikTok, Zhu Zichu, the CEO, he did make a notable appearance at Trump's inauguration as well.
It's all a political
it was
game.
A little formidable with all of them together.
Sure. He's trying to figure out if they can come to some kind of resolution to where they can stay here, because there is a lot of money on the line. A lot of money on the line.
Yeah,
that's really true. That data information is so valuable. What people don't understand, it's not just the advertising that's happening on TikTok that's valuable. It is the data that it's collecting. The data is where the real money is, that they're getting from it, that they're learning about people, that their likes, dislikes, things they're interested in, and the ability to sway them in one direction or another is very, very powerful. And that's really where the value comes from.
Yeah.
And so I've just found I really think it has a lot more to do with that. But so I just thought the dramatics of it all, right? So they give him a deadline. This is what I thought was really funny, is that they give him a deadline of Sunday. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is funny. They give him a deadline of Sunday, and I'm listening to kind of people talk about one way or the other, seeing all the videos of people crying. And then they end up shutting it off on Saturday at 10 p.m. And I think what I realized was TikTok did that themselves. So this is why they did it. That's why people need to be careful with how easy they get manipulated. So just so you guys know, the ban started from the government on Sunday. And that meant that come Sunday, what they were potentially going to do is the app stores were no longer allowed to service in America those apps. So if you had been using a VPN or something like that, a virtual private network showing that you're in another country, you would have potentially still had it. Mm-hmm. But ironically, it ends on Saturday, I think, to make it much more of a bigger issue. So that way, TikTok did it themselves. That way they can put their whole post up, which they had this whole post saying, you know, because of the order, blah, 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 we're going to figure it out. They really wanted kind of the people to turn against their government, to really say, you know, I can't believe my government's taking away my entertainment device and my way to make a living, all of these things. So it happens on Saturday and people are all freaking out. And then Trump issues the order saying, if anyone allows him to stay up, I'm not going to...
The savior of America.
I'm not going to have anybody be prosecuted or get in trouble for it.
Well, the only two companies
that could be responsible for allowing them to stay when they've been ordered not to would be Google and Apple. Those are the two avenues of which you can get the app that were now banned from allowing them to have that app. So really it was only those two companies who are all hanging out with Trump. They're all together now. At this point, everyone's all together now.
Well, he says on TikTok, welcome back. Thanks for your patience and support. As a result of President Trump's efforts, TikTok is back in the U.S.
What a political...
Exclamation point. You can continue to create, share, and discover all the things you love on TikTok.
Yeah, it's because it's so political. It's so
11 hours
political.
The ban lasted.
Yeah, it really...
And the jubilation
really
was, didn't you miss it? Wasn't it weird?
I don't go on it enough. The only thing I did think about when people were like, "Are you saving all your stuff?" I was like, I don't know what I would save. And I was like, maybe MK's saving some videos. I don't know if we need to save anything. I'm like, I don't know if we have anything on there that can't be saved. But I had
a feeling it would be right back. I had a feeling it was going to be back.
We're getting played. That's really what that was. It was a whole game to cancel it before, and then for it to look like Trump saving it. So then it made everything look great, like, you know, Trump's this hero.
He came in right the day before.
And I was like, hey, wait, guys, he's the reason why it was during Trump's administration this whole entire thing started. So don't pretend like he's your hero when he's the reason why it ever got here. So I wasn't a fan of that manipulation of the public for the public to believe any of that stuff was happening that wasn't a self-created mess that you're cleaning up of a mess you created and then to look like a hero. I don't love that. I didn't love that whole entire concept about it. And then I'm not happy about the order that you have to sell it. If we really are concerned about national security, we can put any parameters we want on any company that's being viewed, eaten, seen, touched, any of those things within our borders. We have the ability to literally filter anything we want on a higher scale, which means if we wanted no videos of P. Diddy to be on any social media platform that is being seen in America, we can do that. Other countries do it all the time. They filter the information that's coming through internet and all of those stuff. We can do that. So to tell me that you think the only way to safely protect the Americans is for an American company to own it, or for the government to have part ownership of it, you can't fool me, okay? So there's obviously greater things happening here than the issue of national security. There is a big financial incentive here, and there also is a big political control over the information that's being algorithmed to people. That's my opinion about it.
Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. I know you offered like $20 billion.
He tried to buy it for 20. He undercut the market.
YouTube, Jimmy Donaldson. There's kind of a...
It's because they weren't going to sell it until... They were going to fight it until the very, very end because of that exact concept. Like, it's hard to even put a price tag. I guess you can try to put a price tag. Could you imagine if at the height of your success, someone's forcing you to sell it to another entity? That means what? You give away a huge percent of your continued... that's what I'm saying. The value of it isn't so always obvious there. The value is what you're going to continue to grow on it.
Right.
So how do you even put a number on it? Which is why they didn't want to sell it. They're like, no, we don't need the money right now. That's why we haven't sold it. We want to continue growing because we're going to keep on getting the data to continue making more money. So I just found it really shocking and disturbing again that we're seeing, I believe, an overreach of our government to pretend like it's for the safety of our people. And I don't really think that that's it.
Well, yeah, they're saying that Trump, the ban is for 60 to 90 days so that his administration could either negotiate a sale or another solution to protect the app from being banned in the U.S.
Yep,
so,
yep.
Yeah.
So it's safe for now, but let's see what ends up happening as far as the actual, they don't have a choice because there's a Supreme Court order, so they've got to do something. And I guess, and Trump's going to be the one who's going to potentially try to figure it out. But
Doge.
Yep. So for right now, it's back up and running right before and I think it was interesting too because Trump was like, I also don't want this to overshadow my inauguration. It was like someone being like, listen, I don't need it raining on my birthday. I'm like, that was literally what I think that some of the impressions I was getting with some of the things he was saying. He's
people
like,
want to post stuff from
he's like, I need all my stuff posted on TikTok for now. Like leave it up there. Yeah, I'm just not convinced that it's a national security. I do think there needs to be regulation over social media as a whole, and I know that we can do it. It's just sad that we don't figure out a way to do it that really will create a positive outcome, like the things that are allowed to still be on these social medias, the way that it's leading to suicides and those kind of things, the hate speech that's happening that's not being properly filtered and regulated, I think is really disturbing. Then you hear about people like people on social media that are being banned from TikTok, and you're like, I have seen some horrible things on TikTok and they should be taken down, but they stay up and I can see them over and over again.
We may have a guest soon to talk about that.
But then you get people who, if they say something that they don't, that the algorithm doesn't like, then I guess it's called shadow banning them, and they're banning them.
I've been banned.
Oh yeah,
just for posting a couple videos. I have to be careful.
Yep.
I have to be careful, and I've been banned, and I had to call my daughter and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm in TikTok jail."
She's in TikTok jail. What does that mean?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us for another episode of Legal Candy. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please reach out to us, and we will do our best to respond to it and give you some legal insight.
Subscribe and follow. We can't wait to hear from you. Thank you.
Bye.